Hi, I'm David Norris and I'm serving up the perfect podcast, Pompey Platter with Russ, Daz and Haz. Play up, Pompey.
He used to be a waiter, did David Norris. Well, he's served up the perfect cocktail here.
Gera back to goal, Lang. Needs a bit of help. Goodness from Lang. What can he do? Still there, Lang. Lang! You wouldn't believe it! Cross comes into the near post. Headers into the net! Shaughnessy! Surely Pompey are heading for the championship! Portsmouth are promoted as League One champions!
Hello and welcome to Pompey Patter, episode 13, Waterlogging and Lack of Lighting. Thank you for joining us once again, whether you're live with us now or listening back on SoundCloud, Spotify or Apple Podcasts at a later date. As ever, I am joined by Russ and Daz. Good evening, guys. How are we?
Evening, all good?
Good evening. Yeah.
Good. So there is a little bit less to talk about than we thought. Obviously, we were going to review two games. We are now not going to review two games. But we will talk about both Blackburn and Millwall and their postponements that happened. We will then move on to the Swansea City game this weekend, and we will preview that. And then after that, we will go on to Harry's Who Am I? And I believe we have a Haz Vs Daz. Is that right, Russ?
Yeah, I've got something together. Yeah.
Nice one. That was last minute, but kudos to you for that. And then we move on to any other business. So let's go for Blackburn. Obviously, there was it was announced at about 10 o'clock, 10:15, that there would be a pitch inspection at 11 a.m. And Russ, as soon as you see that, you're kind of fearing the worst from the get-go, aren't you?
Oh, wow, yeah. You just know that there's, that's it really, isn't it? But I was just annoyed that it took, they thought they'd done it with plenty of time when most of our fans were pretty much at Manchester and places like that. And we all knew what the weather was going to be like. The whole country knew. They know they got that river right by the ground. I just thought the whole thing was handled poorly by them. But then we made ourselves look stupid last night. But we'll go on to that later. It was just frustrating. I just think surely this day and age, in my opinion, especially if I know people, and I love it when people go, yes, but you can't help the weather. Well, you can prepare for it. I mean, the other sports can do it. You've got an issue around that area with heavy rain, then sort out your drainage around the grounds. There are covers out there that you can literally lay over the pitch to keep the pitch dry. Don't get me wrong, if in the middle of a game, you get like when we played Wickham that time, there is nothing you can do about that. But we all knew that rain was coming. They could have prepared better, and if they couldn't be bothered to prepare better, then they should have let the fans know earlier. Simple as that.
It's not like it wasn't a forecast, was it? Like, we knew that Storm Bert was arriving numerous days before, so they had plenty of time to prepare. Sometimes you end up with something coming out, like some weather, it comes out of nowhere, whether it's like a snowstorm or something, it can come out of nowhere unexpected. But this was forecast for days. So it's just having a bit of pre-planning, isn't it? And just having that kind of initial thought in your head, thinking, this might happen, so let's try and prevent it. But obviously you can't help the fact that their drainage goes directly into the river that was overflowing. However, it would have been nice to have a bit more kind of preparation. And as you said, I think, Daz, I'll get your thoughts on this as well. I just thought, it's such a long game. If it was like Millwall, for example, on Saturday, 11 a.m. is fine because not a lot of people will have left by then, or certainly less. But when it's a long distance up to Lancashire and up to Blackburn, that's a hell of a journey. A lot of people went Friday night. I know, obviously 4-0 guys do. Andy Moon went up Friday night and stayed over. You could have avoided that by even potentially having a pitch inspection on Friday night instead. So I just think you could have had be a bit more prepared. Daz?
Sorry to butt in. But like we said, we all knew, but the weather, it weren't like it was going to stop. It was going to rain all day Saturday. Like, what were they waiting for? Oh, it might get better. No. I need to stop. I'm getting wound up again. Go on, Daz.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm always wary, and this is probably a knock-on effect from like us playing League One and League Two, where I'm always wary about digging out clubs and sort of. I know a lot of people were saying about Tim Pot and that sort of stuff. I'm always wary of it because I just don't know the ins and outs of like every club, and especially like clubs right up north. Obviously, I know who they are, but I don't know the day-to-day running as such because they're not as close to me. You don't take much of an interest. I did see that. I think the combination of all the rain they had with, I think they had snow or something like a day or two before. Someone put a picture up of like all the roads like covered in snow. So I'm guessing a combination of the rain that fell along with like melting the snow probably didn't help either. Yeah, it's tough because obviously from my point of view, I wasn't going up, so I was always a bit more relaxed about it. But you do feel for everyone that travelled, and I just don't know when obviously there's always too late. Obviously, you call it off for like was it Crewe Alexander we played away from home, wasn't it? And that game got called off like an hour before, 2 hours before, and that's way too late.
And that was ridiculous because there was nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that pitch either.
No, exactly. It sounded like the referee just wanted the day off because it sounded like he was turned up and he wanted to go, and he was the only one that actually didn't want the game on. Um, but how early do you do it? Like you might get a certain amount of people saying if they'd have called it off at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, or even the night before, you would have had people saying, "Oh, it's too early. Give it a chance." Because even though you do have a weather forecast, it sometimes doesn't always go as bad as like the weather is forecasted that day. So, and I'm not just all saying this because of what happened last night, but yeah, I do tend to hold back on judging a club too much. I say I think that's probably from like because we've been in League One and League Two for so long. These clubs haven't got really the amount of money to pump into their ground. Most of the clubs anyway. But you would like to think it in the Championship. A club like Blackburn, obviously, who's been in the Premier League not that long ago. But I'm not. I did hear something about their ownership where sort of I don't know whether it's like the China situation where Chinese owners were told to like they had to basically sell up, but I think taking money because obviously the owners are Indian, aren't they? I think they were sort of getting restricted on how much money they could put in the club.
Yeah,
So I don't think they could get
from what
money out of the country.
yeah, from what I read, it was something like the Indian government have kind of freezed anyone being able to freely invest into the club or abroad. And basically, it's like for every pound they invest into their businesses abroad, they have to kind of put something into the government as well. So it's kind of I can't remember if it was double or what, but it's costing them more money than they would. So why would you do that? So, but I think you would expect a bit better from another especially an established ex-Premier League Championship club. You'd probably expect a bit better from them. But at the end of the day, whether they, even if they put the covers on, it's up to the referee, isn't it? So you could get one ref that could have played that, and another ref, as we found out on Saturday, goes, "I'm not interested. We're not playing that." Let's move.
Yeah, and sorry, just quick
Go on,
one.
Des.
And whenever we have a game called off like away, you kind of always have a look at is there other games happening in and around that same area. And I think there were quite a few games not far from Blackburn, so that just makes it.
Yeah,
Again,
Preston were at home and that played.
Yeah, but they're obviously because they're separate. They're built like different. Like for example, I live in Winchester, and like sort of it's built on like mainly chalk, so a lot of games barely ever get called off around here. But just down the road and like Eastleigh, it'll be different. So it's hard to compare that. But I think that's more of like emotion side coming out because you want to watch Pompey, and then when you're seeing teams in around that area playing, it's a bit frustrating. But yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, so we'll kind of segue. We'll use that meh from Daz, and we'll segue into another meh. Last night. So after having another few extra days off, obviously people travelled up to Blackburn and back down for no reason in the end. We thought, yeah, let's come on then. We're up for Millwall. The ground was bubbling beforehand. It was kind of, the atmosphere was starting to kick in. I got to my seats about 15 minutes before kickoff. Looking forward to it. Millwall fans started to make some noise, and then fate had another option for Pompey and went, "You want to play? I don't think so." And I mean, losing power, floodlights, all power, kiosks gone, everything's gone, and we were kind of hoping, sat there in darkness for 20 odd minutes and kind of hoping what was going on. Daz, did you enjoy your darkness?
Well, yeah, I mean, considering how for me is a bit of palaver getting down there because I couldn't get out of work early. Then when I got to my car, obviously there's loads of traffic, I thought it was going to be worse to be fair because I heard that Eastern Road was like flooded, but that was actually wasn't too bad. Then I was trying to park up. I'd have probably parked the furthest away. I think I parked since going to Pompey. But so that was all right. Got in the ground. I thought I'll have a quick beer, so just down that. And I think I was in my seat roughly around the same time as you, Harry. And because what I do remember, like from the build up, I was actually quite impressed with obviously our scoreboard and things like that. And when the players were getting announced, the little graphics and stuff like that, little videos, I was actually, I thought, oh, this is quite nice, get me up for the game a little bit. And then bang. Yeah, I think I gave it like 15 minutes, but I wasn't really. Everyone was like singing a fair play, but I wasn't really joining in because I just had this horrible feeling like this game wasn't going to happen. Um, because of it wasn't just floodlight failure, as we know what it was. It wasn't just floodlight failure, which you can usually have a workaround and get those on. But it looked like everything was off. Well, apart from that part of the north stand. So after about 15 minutes or so, I thought, right, I'm taking myself down to the concourse and I'm just going to hang around there because if this game gets called off, I'm not getting caught in all the traffic trying to get out from my seat. Um, and then yeah, and obviously just hanging around, which was obviously frustrating. The atmosphere was still relatively okay, I think. And obviously, until we got the announcement that there would soon be an announcement because they didn't have anything to announce, I think everyone was pretty much in high spirits. And and then after that, I think it sort of you could sort of feel that everyone was getting a bit frustrated. I just came down to the bottom corner of the end between the Fratton end and the South Stand, where sometimes if I need to leave a little bit early, I'll just stand down there until the final whistle goes and I'll head off so I can see the rest of the game. But yeah, I think I left probably about 10 minutes before they actually called it off because I was like, I thought to myself, this isn't going to happen. And then yeah, when I was actually in the car, when I got to the car, start the engine up, and they said, yeah, it was called off. So I was actually quite glad I left when I did because I don't mind getting caught in traffic on the way home after a Pompey game, even if we lose. But when there hasn't even been a game and I've made so much effort to get down there, last thing I wanted to be doing was sitting in traffic. So luckily I was home in decent enough time. But yeah, it's a bit of an iffy one all around, wasn't it? Really, I think what really let the club down. All the other stuff is what it is for me. What really let us down, I think, was communication. I think we barely had any. I know they can't say everything, but at least if there was just that little bit of extra communication, just giving us a tiny update, like people have been called and stuff like that, so we know something's happened. Obviously, we know something is going on behind the scenes, but it's always nice just to hear it, puts your mind at rest. And then obviously that issue with the mascots where they were left down the cold, that can't happen. So yeah, there's a couple of things the club need to learn if this ever happens again. But I think the rest of it, for me, is I think the club could do much.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because when you get to when you got to that stage of kind of getting close to 8:30, and obviously the players coming out and warming up for the second time, I think that gave us all probably a bit of false hope, thinking, oh, here we go, we're going to get the game on. And they were out there, they'd kind of finished their warm up, and Millwall had as well, and then they were kind of just playing keepy uppies for no real reason. And then obviously out of kind of, I'm not saying out of the blue because it was always a possibility, but why make the players go and warm up again? And kind of get everyone's hopes up, and then that's going to happen. Russ, I assume your little boy went with you. I'm sure he enjoyed sitting in the cold for an hour.
He wasn't too bothered. He was all right. I just think I was just not happy with Andrew Cullen afterwards when he said there was not much more they could have said or done. When, in my opinion, when the lights come back on and the players come back out training, they should have done an update of just because the players are back out on the pitch doesn't mean the game's going ahead. Because everyone went, all right, okay, the game's going ahead now. And then he thought, because I had it in my head, I remember turning to Dad and took people around and said, if we're not kicking off before 8:30, then this got no chance. With the train for Millwall was 20 to 11, was it? The last train back, or the only train back, I believe. So that when they came on the pitch with the floodlights on and the lights are on, they should have said, this does not mean the game will definitely go ahead, because we all assumed it was. I don't know about you if you guys did, but everyone around us thought that was.
As I said, I think it kind of gave us all a bit of false hope, because you would assume, well, look, the lights have been on for 10 minutes and there's no issues. They haven't gone back out. The players have then come out to warm up. Everyone would have thought that it's going ahead. But you're right. I understand what Andrew Cullen said about not wanting to speculate and be wrong, but also just keep us up to date as well, because we're stood there in the cold for an hour. There's children, elderly people, vulnerable people that are stood there in the cold. As you said, just give us something. Just say the players are coming to warm up, but unfortunately, this doesn't guarantee that we're going to play. They're coming to warm up in hope that it can be fixed, but it's not a guarantee. At least then we can go, okay, that's fine. But to have nothing from when they went out, then wait 10 minutes and then have an announcement to say, cheers, lads, we'll update you later. And then nothing for, 45, 50 minutes before they go, yeah, see you later, bye. It's not the most ideal. And I know not everyone is prepared for it, because you probably don't ever think it's going to happen. But it was a bit suspect that it happened the week that Cullen did the Q&A, and he talks about the substation as its max capacity because of all of the everything we use as the club, and then it was pretty. I wanted to quickly go on to, it was kind of, the next thing was the kiosks. So obviously, because it's all electric, it's all cashless. If you wanted a drink to warm up, you wanted a tea, coffee, Bovril, whatever, hot chocolate, or something to eat to warm you up, you couldn't have one, because it's a cashless stadium, and everything, all the card machines and that were all down as well. I mean, yeah, if you want something to warm you up, you've just got to stand there in the cold. It's just multiple things, isn't it? And then the mascots will always line up right in front of me, and they always take their jackets off them. And I had a few tweets from the guy that kind of does it in the community. He was replying to my tweet that I put out yesterday, and he kind of, I get what he's saying, and they've got a thing to follow, and they always have the jackets on as they do the lap of honour and the lap of applause and stuff. And then they come back and they line up, they take their jackets off, and part of the package is they walk on the pitch in a current kit with the players. But for me, I just think they're all like under 10. They've got like a base layer underneath the shirts, but just let them keep the jackets on to walk on the pitch. It's a Pompey branded jacket. It's nothing like it's not like you can't recognise it's Pompey. It still looks, they're all wearing the same jacket. It's still kind of formal as such for like the photos and stuff. I just think let them keep the jackets on, and they did put them back on after, but it took about 15 minutes for them to put them back on. But also, it's not necessarily just that. It's the fact that they just made them stand there in the dark for ages.
I see the mascot bit wound me up because my boy, he was a mascot a couple of years ago when we lost to Harrogate in the FA Cup, and it was freezing then. And I get when they come on the pitch, because there's that famous clip in there of their mascots who was it pissing down rain, and then I think is it Bayern Leverkusen, they all took their players took their jackets off and put it all around their mascots,
Yeah.
So that's just a mascot thing in general, unfortunately. But last night, to be in the dark, in the cold, I don't get why they didn't sit with their parents. Well, the parents are only up in the south stand.
Yeah, so a lot of the parents, because the stairwell is the closest to where I am, is all the parents come and stand on their stairs to take the photos of where they are. So all the parents were kind of stood right next to me, and they were calling down to make sure they were okay. And they ended up.
Oh, I would have been fuming.
Yeah, well, they ended up actually throwing down their actual coats onto the pitch for them to all wear.
Yeah, I remember seeing something.
But for me, I just think I know there's no electric, but surely just take them indoors somewhere, take them into the Victory Lounge or something, just to you.
Well, that's where they get changed.
Because when it's really cold, when the lights are out, someone should go, we're going to be here a bit, let's just take them indoors and keep them warm.
Yeah, it was just, and then we all, they'll get word if they're able to come back out and get into position and what have you. I just thought that and the communication was the terrible part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
people moaning about it's ridiculous the club don't have access to the subway part, and it's like, trust me, where I do maintenance at care home, trying to get access to any electrical points and coming into the building, they do not let you do it.
What other club is going to have access to a bloody substation?
So all of that is ridiculous, that people moaning about that we don't know who doesn't have access. No one does, and they will not let you have it. Simple as that.
SSE aren't going to let you employ have just.
They're not going to let their on-site maintenance all suddenly go into their substation.
They're not just going to be chilling. Can you just have an engineer sat next to the substation just in case every week?
Yeah. So things like that were just out of hand. At first, I was being told that it was all because of Sky Sports, and then it had nothing to do with Sky Sports. The EFL would rather the game went ahead. And it's just, I wasn't mad that as soon as it happened, I thought, we ain't got time. When this happened 20 years ago against Leeds on a 3:00 on a Saturday, you had time. This was a 3:00 Saturday. You could have easily waited 2 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And kick off at 5:00, kick off at 5:30. Do you know what I mean?
The only thing I kind of thought was no one is really getting a train to London at 10:30 at night on a Tuesday night, are they?
The last train was 20 to 11, wasn't it?
Right. Okay. So your average Joe
is
not getting the train back unless they're going to be a football fan. So why?
Well, I think they put it on for them, didn't they?
Yeah. So why not just hold the train?
Replacement buses. So apparently they were replacement buses, weren't they? That 22:11 or something, or 20 past 11.
Yeah.
They're meant to be replacement buses.
Okay. So whether it's buses or train, just hold them. Just hold it until 11 o'clock, and the game would have been finished.
Yeah, but the problem is, Network Rail, whoever it is, they can't even run trains on time. So if you push, and also I don't know whether, obviously, I'm guessing train drivers will have a amount of time they can drive. So if they push that back, you never know, that driver might not even be able to get back to London.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know what the hours, and also, because I saw a tweet from, I think he's the Millwall communications guy, and he was saying that obviously the discussions went on because people were saying, what Tim Potter was and stuff like that. And he said, well, because there wasn't much lighting in parts of the supporters areas, that was part of the reason they couldn't go ahead, because obviously I think in the Fratton end it was still quite dark.
It was dark. So, the Fratton end was dark.
And in that case, if just say an old boy was trying to go up the steps, tripped over at his head, because he missed a step because it was too dark, people would have been screwing that. Like there would have been why was this game played, and apparently parts of the CCTV out. And you've got, I think I tweeted this earlier. Millwall Pompey is a very volatile like game fans wise. We know that there's been loads of history between our two fan bases. The police can't risk having no CCTV. What again if someone got attacked in the ground or someone threw something at someone in the ground? Like the police are probably never ever going to let that happen.
But also, not just that, like you only need someone to think, the lights are out, I'm going to fall over here. I mean, like on purpose and try and get some money.
Things.
You know I mean?
And it's not like non-league when all of a sudden you've got the lights on and like, right, let's go play. Like there's so many. I dread to think the checklist of stuff professional clubs have to go through, because I mean there's been games in the past where the ground is okay, but it's areas outside the ground which are unsafe for fans, and like when it's been snowing and stuff like that. So there's so many different things I think clubs have to abide to. I think I just didn't get it last night where, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone's wound up and stuff like that, but there were some people that obviously just started attacking the club. Oh, the club's run by clowns, stuff like that. Communication, yeah, it was appalling last night, 100%. But the rest of it, I just don't get it.
There's three things for me they fucked up: the communication, the mascots, and then the. But by the way, Millwall fans are all staying behind. Oh no, they're not. They're leaving at the exact same time.
Yeah,
but that must have been the police. Weird. The police must have allowed that, because I mean, that's the most police I've seen at a Pompey game in ages. When I was driving down Easter Road and past the Good Companion,
they were everywhere, weren't they?
Their police were everywhere. So there's that must have been down to the police. They would have been the ones that let them out the ground.
And that was stupid, because then they ended up having to get into a fight once they came outside, didn't they?
That's it. If a steward went to open the gate, there would have been police around those gates. They would have went, no, we're not doing it. They must have allowed it.
Don't know. This is trouble in it, Chinese whispers and stuff.
You don't know.
I heard that it was a misunderstanding, that they were told not to open the gates, and then one of them thought they said open the gates, so they opened the gates, and obviously once you've opened the gates, that's it, isn't it? I mean, but whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But they definitely said on the tannoy, I didn't hear how many minutes, whether it was half an hour or something like that. They literally said, because all the Pompey fans are like, hey, you're not going home and things like that. And the next minute, I look round and they're gone. I was like, where are they gone?
Yeah.
And then I see a load of police all of a sudden tell everyone to move out of the way and leg it out the ground as fast as they could, because it all started kicking off.
It was just kind of a mismatch of different faults and everything for various people. There's some things that are were outside of like the club's issue control and things, but there are other things they could have done better. And all we can kind of hope for is that they kind of take on board what's happened. They kind of listen to the fans' frustrations and kind of try and take a sensible approach of what fans are saying. Obviously, you get radical ones from each end and gone, the club can't do anything to, Michael Eisner's fault, and he's in LA, he's having his lunch. But they've got if they can take kind of an overview from fans and how we experienced it, and as long as that you can then improve that for if or hopefully never when this happens again, then that's all we can kind of ask for from it. Really, we can't ask for much else.
No, there's no fault on the club that the power went out, but somehow it still is the club's fault. That's all I've seen.
And that's the thing. I know from experience over the last week or so at my work, we've had our servers down and stuff like that, and there's loads of different sort of things they're trying to sort out. Like you take the learning from any sort of incident, whether it's even if it's a positive one or a negative situation, you take that and then you take that into if it happens again, everything's in place. This is what we do next time. This is what we do. Obviously, we're hoping that substation doesn't go again, obviously, but at least if does happen next time, you would like to think the club will be like, right, we need to communicate better, even just to let fans know what's going on.
That's it.
We can go from there. I never thought the game was going to get played, because I actually heard the cheer of the players coming out as I was walking to the car.
It was probably by
Well, the players did get a game last night. They played each other, didn't they?
Yeah.
Apparently, Paddy Lane scored a screamer.
Apparently so. I'd probably said by about 10, 15 minutes after they initially went out, you probably thought this is done. This is not happening.
No, yeah. Just said if it was 3 o'clock on a Saturday, it would have probably eventually, because you could have kicked off as I said, 5, half 5, 6 o'clock, whatever. But on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, you got no chance.
But interesting, I saw a couple of people say, well, if it was Blackburn playing here on a Tuesday night, because we know that the EFL like to do things like that with the fixtures, they wouldn't have made any trains anyway. So whether the trains were there or not, or if it was, they wouldn't have got back until God knows what time anyway. That wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think the trains was just one of a number of reasons why they couldn't have played it. I think it's also got to do if there is an issue with CCTV. That they did say the emergency lighting might not even lasted the whole game. So if that went again,
they've only got normally only got 2 hours. Yeah, like 3 hours at max.
And then also, if there's no lighting in the, I don't know, some of the concourse areas or stuff like that, there's no lighting there. Again, that's another health and safety thing. So I think the trains is just one of maybe 4 or 5 other reasons why the game couldn't get played.
Yeah, because, with football, it only takes a player to get a bad injury and your game stops for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and then, you're going to miss the train anyway. So,
But that's it. So, but just imagine, someone, as I said, an old boy or a kid or something was in the back areas or stuff where there wasn't much light because the lights were out. Just imagine one of them fell over, hurt himself and stuff like that. It's sometimes football it's a pain in the ass because you've got 20,000 odd people down there. But at the end of the day, you've got to, football in the past. It's taught us that we have to sort of be responsible and be sensible. When majority of the time we're never sensible in football, are we? So yeah, it's ridiculously frustrating. I wanted to see football because it took me ages to get down and I was running around like a tit. So it's frustrating, but I think in the long run it's probably the right decision.
I think it's just frustrating. I needed some kind of football fix, so I came home and just watched the second half of Liverpool-Madrid. Which Liverpool absolutely trounced Madrid. Madrid were awful. So that was my football fix. It's annoying because obviously we already had a game in hand and already had a game postponed. That was the second one. And annoyingly, Cardiff lost against QPR. So that means we are now back bottom of the league. But we obviously have 2 games in hand. Moving on, shall we preview Swansea?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. I actually watched their second half when I got home actually last night.
Did you? A bit of scouting. Yeah. How did they play? I see Peter Harris got another assist.
To be honest, it was 2-0, but obviously in the start of the second half. It wasn't very pretty on the eye, to be honest. I think it was a typical Swansea. I don't know how Swansea played in the first half because I didn't watch it, but it looked like it's a very typical wayside coming out second half and just sort of looking to play on the counter attack. And Derby got an equaliser not an equaliser, made it 2-1 for a penalty, which was a clear cut penalty to be fair. But I don't think Derby didn't. Maybe it's because of the way sort of Paul Warman's sides play. They didn't really look great, and I think Swansea were just sitting back and soaking it up, and then hoping to catch them out on the break. I wasn't overly impressed with either side, to be fair, but obviously I think you're going to get a different Swansea side at home, and they're going to be expected to get hold of the ball and be on the ball more. And I don't think they're the typical Swansea sides of old, even old Floppy Air, what's his face, who's now gone to them down the road, where they're I think Swansea do still keep hold of the ball, but I don't think they're anywhere near what his sides are. I think they do like to get the ball forward a bit quicker. It's going to be tough. They've got a good side.
They've appointed Notts County's old manager, Luke. Is it Luke Williamson or Luke Williams or something? Isn't it? And he has a similar style of play, but I think he has struggled to. implement it as much as he wanted to, or not too much as a success as it was in League Two. They've had a kind of mixed bag of results really over the last kind of about 8 or 9 games. Obviously beat Derby going backwards. They lost 4-3 to Leeds at the weekend with Nonto scored a last minute winner. They lost to Burnley. They beat Watford, beat Oxford, lost to Millwall, drew to Sheffield Wednesday, lost to Blackburn. So they have had a mixed bag really. They're not either way. They're just going to be an average mid-table team, I think, and that's where they're sitting right now in 11th place. Anyone really stand out for you, Russ? Of any note?
No. I don't rate them as a team at all. I know they got a win yesterday, but I don't rate Derby either. I've seen a few people say they're worried about him possibly coming down towards our way. So, I don't know. Part of me wants to say we're going to win.
That's if the game happens.
Well, yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Then I swear I see someone put something there's something about an earthquake in Swansea or something like that that was coming up.
Postpone it. There'll be too many sheep on the pitch or something. I don't know.
Oh no, well that's just usual, isn't it? So I'll let you two go first with your predictions. I'm still in two minds at the moment.
Just because we haven't played, obviously it's now basically, by the time it's Saturday, it's going to be 3 weeks, isn't it? By the time we've actually last kicked a ball, I'm going to go boring. I'm just going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think we'll win. I think having a break is good, but the length of the break we've now had has probably actually become a negative rather than a positive. Having those 2 games postponed has probably killed, as well as the international break, has probably killed any kind of momentum that we did have from the second half at Hull, Plymouth, the performance-wise, and then Preston. I think that momentum has probably disappeared now without those games. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and I'm going to go for my boy, who was one of 2 players who actually went and had a kickabout with the mascots last night, which was Lang and Ritchie. So well done to them, keeping them entertained. So I thought that was quite nice of them to do that. I'm going to go for Callum Lang to score with a 1-1 draw.
That's annoying. I should have just took it, shouldn't I? So, well, that's what I was doing.
That's what happens when you don't go with your gut.
No, I know. But I just still got this feeling that we could win because I just don't rate them.
Are you going for it, or are we letting Dazzler go next?
No, let Daz go next.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was torn between 1-1 and us winning 2-1. So because obviously Haz has gone for 1-1, I'm going to be different. I'm going to go 2-1 Pompey, and I'm going to go for Bishop to score.
Oh, for God's sake, boys! I'm never going to laugh again.
Well, it was either Bishop or I was going to go Murphy again. But
Murphy.
There's only my boy. But that's the thing. If I go for Bishop, then then Murphy's probably going to score. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Pompey. I'm going to be like positive. And yeah, Harry, you're totally right. Like it is quite frustrating. It seems too long now, and I think even though they didn't play, obviously the travelling up to Blackburn and back. And I know they travel in pretty nice like coaches and stuff like that. So it's not, but mentally, I suppose they've got themselves up for a game, Blackburn. Then they've got themselves up for another game last night, and obviously last night was even closer. And it was like what 5 minutes before kickoff, 10 minutes before kickoff. So I just hope that mentally wise they sort of got themselves back, and it's just like that's done because I didn't see Bishop, but I did hear that apparently he looked quite devastated. So I think he was ready to go.
Yeah, no,
he was ready to go.
He was fuming. He was. You could really see.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm pretty sure he will. Hopefully on Saturday he'll be even more ready to go because he'll be like, right, I was on the edge against Millwall. Hopefully he'll be ready to go. So I'm pretty sure he'll be starting against Swansea. Now we've heard obviously the news about Yenny. So Yeah, 2-1 Pompey, Bishop.
Russ?
Well, I'm gonna go 1-1 because that was my initial instinct, but I'm gonna go for Murphy. Fuck it.
So you go for 1-1 Murphy?
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Let's go on to Haz Vs Daz.
Yep.
We
Yes,
definitely need to come up with a theme tune, don't we?
Yeah. I definitely think it would work. We could do all that to add on to when it goes on to the other outlets, but
It wouldn't necessarily work on here.
no.
But
yeah, we definitely get something. So this is going to be a general football quiz, boys. All right.
Let's go.
Let's do this.
If you say it, because you need to say Haz or Daz. If you don't, you don't get the point. All right.
Oh, strict ruling. No problem.
So it's just going to be simple. 20 questions because we've got plenty of time. And you just say Haz Daz for your answer. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Right. Question 1. Which English club was the first to win the European Cup in 1968?
Haz Spurs.
Ooh. Re-incorrect.
Is it? They were Spurs. Spurs were the first team to win a European trophy that were English. No.
I will say the question.
Bishop, British.
Which English club was the first to win the European Cup, not a European Cup, in 1968?
Does that mean I'm out?
Which is now the Champions League.
The first English team.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know. I'm torn between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest, but Aston Villa.
No, it was Manchester United when they beat.
Was it? Oh fucking hell! Of course it was.
Benfica. George Best scored.
George Best. That's probably yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my brother won't be happy with that one.
Still 0-0 then. 1 sec. I'll just realise I need to write this down, the scores, because I won't remember. 0-0. Right. Second question. Who is the all-time top scorer for the German national team?
Daz?
Yep.
Closer?
Nice
Correct.
one.
1-0 to Daz. Question 3. Who is the youngest player to ever score in a World Cup tournament?
Oh.
I'm sure that was broken in the most recent one, wasn't it? I'm sure I saw something about that.
Haz was fishing for a clue. Gee, can't think too far. I think I'm lost on this one. I have a guess. No.
I've got Haz. We'll go R9.
Incorrect.
In a World Cup, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to guess. So Daz, I will guess. Rooney? Just guess.
No, it was Pele.
I did think that. I thought it was. Yeah.
He just turned 16, didn't he?
Yeah.
Question 4.
How mad's that, by the way, before you move on? 16 years old. You're basically the equivalent of us just chilling doing our GCSEs and you have to fuck off to a World Cup and score a goal for your country.
In the final, no?
But how men, that's just unfathomable.
Well, that's what baffles me with Luke Littler at the moment.
I know.
Pele's the prime example of stat padding. Of all of his goals, he got them in mostly in like friendlies and playing in America. I think he could score over like 1,000 goals or something, he said.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, I understand that, and I get that when people say that. But with Pele, in my honest opinion, like I asked my dad, who's seen all these, your Maradonas, your Pelés, and he always says Pele is the man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can only play what's in front of you.
Exactly.
Pele can't help the fact that
No,
nowadays
and it's
the
not,
game has evolved and it's a lot better than it was.
And my argument is, people say, "Oh, it's just like the Brazilian league." Well, they were world champions a lot back then, so they must have had a pretty decent league, where all the best players in the world were playing in that league. So, you didn't have these players coming over to Europe back then, did you? So,
No.
if it was now, he would be playing in Europe. So, I always said judge him on the world stage, which at that point the World Cup was. You could probably argue now it's not the best of the best like it used to be because you have a lot more teams in it. You'd probably judge more players on their Champions League and their Premier League than we'd ever do at a World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, moving on. Question 4. Which club did Jurgen Klopp manage before Liverpool?
Has Borussia Dortmund.
Correct. 1-1.
I was waiting for you to say before Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, well, that was Mainz as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, yes. Question 5. Which player holds the record for the most goals scored in a single Premier League season?
Has.
Yep, got him.
Haaland.
Correct. 2-1 to Haz. Which country hosted the 1982 FIFA World Cup?
1982. Daz?
Yep.
I don't know. I think is it Mexico?
No.
Fuck, that was the one after, wasn't it?
That was 86. Yeah.
Shit.
Was it which country or which city? Sorry.
Which country?
France.
No, it was Spain.
Oh, close.
Oh, this is an interesting question. In what year did the UEFA Cup change its name to the Europa League?
Ooh.
Jesus. Europa. We played in the Europa, didn't we? When it was Europa.
Did we?
It was Europa then, I think. But I don't know if that was the
It
year.
still is.
Yeah, but we're giving you the answer for when it changed over to Europa, yeah?
Yeah, what year did it stop being the UEFA Cup and change to the Europa League?
Has 2004.
Incorrect.
I don't actually know. That was just a wild guess. So
Was that too low?
Not giving you any clues.
Right, Daz, 2008.
No, it was 2009.
Oh,
So we were in the last year of it being called the UEFA Cup.
were we?
Yeah.
I thought it was Europa when we went.
No, because we remember, but do you remember it used to be like you had about 6 teams in your group of 5, and you didn't play each other twice, did you? Which always annoyed me that we didn't get to go to San Siro, but
yeah.
There we go. Which club has won the most FA Cups?
Has
got it first.
Arsenal.
It is Arsenal. 3-1 to Haz. Which manager won the UEFA Champions League 3 times in a row with Real Madrid? Yeah.
Zidane.
It is Zidane. 4-1.
Give him a head start. Right, here we go. I'm going to start playing now.
Which country won the first ever World Cup in 1930?
Daz.
Yep.
Uruguay?
Correct.
Nice one. Nice and quick there.
Straight in. I'm up now, mate. I'm up on my feet. That's what I'm doing. Bouncing around.
Who scored the fastest hat-trick in Premier League history?
Daz.
Oh, that was Daz.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
That was Daz. It is Mane, yes.
Oh, bastard. Oh, I'm not happy with that.
I had a quick mental blank.
Get VAR on that.
I'm sure you'll play it back later and send it off to me, but I definitely swear I heard Daz before Haz.
Yeah, I'm not saying it. I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Who is the only goalkeeper to have won the Ballon d'Or?
Haz.
Yep,
Yashin.
correct.
I
So
didn't
that's
know that.
now 5-3.
With his old farmer's cap, smoking a cigarette or cigar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When he was in goal.
I've lost my spot now. There it is. In which year did the golden goal rule come into effect in football?
Daz,
Yep.
96.
Ooh.
Euro 96, wasn't it? Wasn't that the first goal thing?
Yeah, hang on a minute. That can't be right, surely.
He don't even know. Bloody hell.
No, because I was thinking 98.
It's not what you think, though, is it? It's
No,
what
but
the
it says
fact
93. There's no way, surely, it come in before then. Right, we'll move on for that one. Which club did Thierry Henry play for before joining Arsenal?
Daz,
Yep.
Monaco.
You sure? Yeah, that's correct. Well done.
I was about to say it. Fucking hell. I'm sure it was.
So we got 2 questions left, and it is currently 5-4.
Oh,
To who?
To you, Haz.
Oh,
coming in at that post if I get this now, isn't it?
Who was the first African player to win the World Player of the Year award?
Daz.
Yep.
Is it Samuetu?
No.
Oh.
Open the door. You can steal the win here.
Drogba?
Haz. No, it was George Ware.
Oh.
Right, if Daz gets this, I do have a bonus question.
All right.
Who was the manager of Liverpool team that won the Champions League in
Haz.
2005?
Rafa Benitez.
Correct. And the winner, which is now overall, the score is 4-2 still to Daz.
Yeah, that's right. Just making it a bit more interesting. No worries.
But well done, boys. Well done.
Nice one. That's good fun. That can we do another
good.
one of those again, like the general football one?
Yep. We'll do another general football one another week for sure.
Awesome. Right. So 4-2. I'm on my way back. I'm on my way back. We'll go with that. Right now, Harry's Who Am I? Are we ready, boys?
Yep.
I started and finished my career at the same club.
No.
I know that's not easy, but they aren't English to try and make it easier for you.
They're not an English club, yeah?
Yeah, so the player isn't English and neither was the club. But I started and finished my career at the same club.
Ben Chorley?
No. What, Prison FC, yeah?
Well, judging off of what the one was that the Harry Who Am I last week with Ben Chorley? Or was that a couple
it was
your one,
French club, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought was worth a shout.
Oh God. I'm just trying to think of some foreign players and where their careers went. No, because he's foreign, but he definitely started in England. I don't know. Jeff Perron. I don't know.
Incorrect.
Miligaranzi. Is it Miligaranzi? Is that you say it?
Incorrect.
Stefan Migliaranzi, yeah.
That's it, yeah. No. I'll just throw a name out.
Does Harry even know who Stefan Migliaranzi is?
I do not know, but it's incorrect.
No, definitely.
I didn't think it was.
No, that was like...
It was 98.
2000, wasn't it?
No, 98 he signed, yeah.
Right. Clue number 2. We have. I played 19 times for Pompey, scoring 0 goals.
Jesus. I mean, that still could be a striker. Oh, no.
Jesus Christ. 19 times.
Yes.
Not a lot, is it?
No.
Is that? Can I ask one question? Was it a loan?
It was.
Right. Okay. So that helps.
Brian Frisk.
Incorrect.
What? You know what? That's a shout though.
That's what I was just thinking of January loan signings because I thought that must be 19 games.
Then is it one of them that signed during that horrendous League One season where we had about 50 players?
Yeah. Yeah. Because what I was thinking as well, like 19 times 0 goals. If that was nowadays with our injury record, that 19 games could have been over the course of about 7-8 seasons.
Thing is, if he's not English, doesn't mean he's not Welsh or Scottish, does it?
True. That's very true, actually.
Or Irish. It is literally could be anyone. You're definitely up in your game, Harry.
You going for any guesses?
I think just to move on, I'm just going to say a Scottish player, Richard Hughes.
Incorrect.
Oh no, he didn't go back to AC Milan, did he?
When I joined Pompey on loan, it was from a Serie A side.
Jesus.
And that is your final clue. You wanted it to be harder. I've made it harder for you.
We can't loan that many players from this area, surely.
And this must be Premier League years as well, surely, from the Serie A.
Not necessarily.
I'm stuck.
Russ?
Absolutely.
Just trying to think of orders. We haven't had many from the Serie A, have we?
If I tell you
I'm struggling to think of more than just one player that we signed from the Serie A. Well, signed / loan. The only player I can think of, top of my head, but I know it's the wrong answer, is Huseklepp, because we got him from Bari, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just trying to think of.
If I tell you he isn't Italian, does that help?
No, I had a feeling he was Italian because I can't think of any. Well, the only other player could have been was that Zamperini, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't met many Italians. But...
No, so that's what I mean. So I had a feeling it wasn't an Italian. See, we had Pericard from Juventus, didn't we? But obviously he scored goals.
Yeah.
And played more than 19 times.
To be fair, we don't get many Italians coming over here playing anyway in any league, really, do we?
Oh, what was that?
Not loads.
Oh, it's not. Is it? Oh, was he from the Serie A? Oh shit, what's his name? The one Chris Kamara thought he got subbed. Wasn't he from the
Van den Boer?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Well done.
We take that as a team.
That was a team effort. I mean, I had the extra clue, which was I became a part of football folklore when I was sent off against Blackburn.
Because even though that was hard, I thought it shouldn't be because we haven't had many players from the Serie A. So I was just trying to list them off in my head, even if they were the wrong answer, and then he popped in my head.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of his name. All I could just remember it was the Chris Kamara moment.
That's it.
Yeah.
Was he right back, wasn't he?
He was indeed. He signed on loan from Genoa.
Genoa. No,
so
I don't.
He started as he started and finished his career at Anderlecht in Belgium, and he was he made his debut at 16 years old alongside Vincent Kompany.
All right, that's interesting.
So they came through together.
Right, I think Kompany came to the Premier League around about that time as well, didn't
he? Yeah, obviously he went to City instead.
If I remember rightly, when he was centre mid when he first came.
I think so, yes.
Right. I'm glad I got that. I hate it when we don't get it, which ain't been
lost. Well, the thing is, only been one that you guys haven't got so far, isn't it?
There was one I didn't get when Daz went here.
Mick Tate, and then you didn't get Ben Chorley, did you?
No, that was a great one. To be fair,
yeah, that was a much random one.
Like, how was he? You could have given me a week, and I still never would have got that.
Yeah. Cause how is he in France?
But
I'd love to hear him. I'd love to hear him try and speak French.
As a
I bet it's
director
the
of
most
football for a second division side in France, is pretty mad for someone of Ben Chorley's. Well, I know his playing standard, but
I bet him trying to speak French is the most English-sounding French you ever hear. Like
it'll be like Joey Barton, isn't it?
Yeah, Biblo dans les têtes bibliothèque. Literally, when I've been over to France trying to order food, my other half, she's like, "You sound so English," but they like it because at least you're trying.
Yeah, they'd rather you give it a go, as long as you don't say something wrong and then it ends up being offensive or something. Then, but I think we've had quite an array of players so far. We've had Richie Delat, we've had Patrick Adjamang, Mick Tate, Carnu, John Harley, Ronan Curtis, Ben Chorley, Darren Anderton, and Anthony Van Den Boer.
And Curtis was another team effort and all.
That was the old candy stripes for Derry City.
I was watching Port Vale Crew the other day when he came on. He's got his slick hair back again now.
Oh, has he?
He cut it off, didn't he? And he's still moaning when he's not getting the ball, which is fair play to him.
That's just part of his game, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't mind that. Just because I mean, even at my level, I've played with players like that who will scream for the ball. If you don't give it to them, they'll have a go at you. Like they're always in the best position when they're clearly not. Like it's just because you'd rather that than hide away from someone. So
well, I try to teach all the boys in my son's team that you have to make space for players and they can't pass for a player, and that's why you're not getting the ball.
But that's the thing, right? Like players need to be need to want the ball, and if they miscontrol it or something like a bad pass, as long as there's no intent behind it for them to, which usually isn't for them to mess up, as long as the effort's there, like that, we've lacked that we're just getting it now with, if you look at a lot of our young English players. But before that, it was very 4-4-2, get the ball forward, whoever could kick the ball furthest, and then someone quick runs onto it and scores. Nowadays, it's obviously a lot more technical, which is what we want, and you're seeing that going down through the leagues as well now.
Right. So, any other business? Have we got any other business to talk about, boys?
No, I haven't got any. Nothing.
Oh, I think I have actually. I just see that Lampard was actually announced today.
Yeah.
We were leading on from what we were talking about Coventry last week.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of already starting with a disadvantage, isn't he? Because the fans didn't want Mark Robins gone, and then there's reports today that Doug King, their owner or the majority shareholder, kind of approached Lampard without telling the rest of the board because they didn't want him and he did. So he went, yeah, see you later, I'm going to appoint him anyway. Which I suppose in theory, if you're the majority shareholder, you can do that if you like, but it's probably not the best for the harmony amongst the club, especially when you've already pissed off the fan base. To go and do something like that's probably not ideal. But I hope he does. I hope he does well. I do. Frank Lampard as a player, obviously one of the best England have ever had, but he's got to prove something. To kind of kick his managerial career going again, because I kind of feel like if he doesn't now, this is probably it.
Yeah, it will. It will be. Well, like we said last week, his one and only season champs. He had a good one, but then it was with a really talented Derby team at the time. I mean,
I see that also. Plymouth getting obviously I'm not going to say pumped because we've been betting by that score this season, but.
We got pumped and all.
Well, that's the thing, because when we played them, it actually quite annoyed me that, and I love Rooney, I absolutely love the bloke, which so it's quite annoying that he went to Plymouth. Not that I hate Plymouth, but there's always that rivalry there, and because they're relatively close. Obviously, it's not a derby, is it? But we've had a rivalry for a little while, haven't we?
No, it's not a rivalry or a derby.
No, it's not a derby, but it's a bit of a rivalry. There is that there.
Yeah, but see, for me, the rivalry side of it was always just because you always end up having a rivalry with someone who's near you in the league. If that makes sense.
And also the especially in League Two, we were the biggest club. Because I'm not like I don't tend to say that about Pompey, but we were the biggest club in the league.
We're away on a teardrop in that league.
Yeah, and then Plymouth were obviously in League Two. Obviously, they were the next big club, so there was always a little bit of a rivalry. Definitely not a derby, but there was a little bit of like angst there, wasn't there? And especially with the playoff games and that lot with them.
But so last year you had a bit of a rivalry with Bolton fans. So does that mean I don't like Bolton? No.
I'll tell you what, the best centre back in League One is really struggling in mid-table, isn't he?
Yeah. But so same with Sunderland. Before Sunderland come down, I've never had any issues with them. Quite liked them as a fan base. Quite liked them. Came down. All kind of started around about the Checker Trade game. I can remember when we beat them at Fratton Park 3-1, talking to a load of them outside and having, had no issues. And then all of a sudden, because they had the Trafalgar Square and they made this big deal out of it, forgetting they were only like a couple of hours up the road. That's when it started. Now we don't compete with each other anymore in the same place in the league table. There's no rivalry at all.
Yeah, and that was it. I remember that Trafalgar Square thing, and people were like, Sunderland fans were tweeting like on the Friday or Saturday night saying, "Oh, where are the Pompey fans?" And I remember replying to someone going, "We're in bed, you weirdo. We literally live down 2 minutes down the road."
Yeah, no, it was just, and it all kind of, and that's how it's always been. We've had rivalries with Ipswich.
Yeah.
Do we have a rivalry with Ipswich anymore? Do we? Fuck.
No, but that's the thing. I agree with that we had rivalries, but like for some reason, I just feel like Plymouth have always, for me anyway, because everyone has a different rivalry wherever they live. I'm sure if you've got like some Pompey fans living up north, they might actually still see Bolton as a bit of a rivalry or things like that, or Sunderland and stuff like that, because they're in and around that community. But I don't know. I've always just felt Plymouth, since we've like been League Two and stuff like that, I always felt that there was a bit more angst there between the two, especially two sets of fans anyway. And,
I felt like there was more Cook versus Adams was the issue, rather than I could not stand Derek Adams and they couldn't stand Paul Cook. So,
but that is also where some rivalries do come from, like managers and things like that, and then fans take it on, and then they just keep hold of it because of the fans are more involved in the club. Like it sort of carries on a little bit, and I'm not saying it's a massive rivalry in Plymouth, but there's a little one there. In my eyes, anyway, for me. But what annoyed me about when we played Plymouth is that it felt like Rooney was thinking that it was just some kind of master plan when they beat us, and then obviously I watched them play. I watched them play Watford as well, and they were terrible. I thought they got two quality goals for Andre Gray, and to be honest, I thought the second Andre goal was probably savable from the Watford keeper. And it kind of winds me up because again, like Rooney, it felt like Rooney was thinking like he had some kind of master plan when he had to rely on two really good goals. The rest of it, they were quite poor, and Watford didn't defend the last part of the game well enough. So it was quite nice to sort of see Rooney maybe a little bit more humbled and stuff like that, and not thinking he's the next Pep. But
yeah, well, I just like Plymouth for me are the worst team we played. Even I know Preston were awful on the day, but they are better than Plymouth. For me, I think Oxford have been found out finally. That they're not as good as they think they are. And I think obviously QPR on a whole, for me, they're the teams that we should be looking at as that. If you asked me a couple months ago, I was struggling other than QPR and Hull. Now I'm like, yeah, all right.
But at least it means that there's kind of like a whole group of them that have joined us.
Yeah.
So because if there was only us, QPR, like Hull, and like only the three, and then one other, it's probably a lot harder because as soon as that one other that's outside pulls away, you're probably thinking that's it, we're down. But where there's 6 or 7 teams that are kind of in the scrap, it makes it more interesting and it gives you a better chance probably to stay up as well. So
I'm less worried. I'm less worried now with the amount of teams that I think we are definitely, or not saying we're definitely better than, but we definitely can be better than.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Preston will be down there, in my opinion. I think Oxford will be down there. Plymouth will be down there. I think Cardiff will stay up, but they will. They if they don't pull their socks up, they could be easily dragged into it. And I think Hull, QPR, and us. So I think there's a good 6 or 7 teams that I would say have got a chance of going down. Whereas not that long ago, I thought it was only about 3.
Yeah, I mean, look. If you look at the table now, if say we won our 2 games at hand, say for example, we'd be up not far off mid-table. It's mental, and like that's the thing. Like, and even if we do, like, say we do win on, we won our next 2 games, and that pushed us up into mid-table, I still wouldn't be relaxed about it because, as you see with Cardiff, went on a very good run, and like sort of looked like they were starting to go pulling away from the bottom 3. And now they're sort of slowly working their way back into it. This season is not going to be over until the final whistle of the final game. Like, and I like that because I get bored of like the seasons past in League One where like we were never going to go up, and the season's done with like 2-3 games left to go. Like, to me, like it's not exciting for me. I like games going right down to the wire. Like I said, like when I went to Huddersfield away years ago, and Dion Burton scored in the last minute. He scored in the first half.
Because he scored after about 4 minutes, didn't he?
Yeah, because I remember that game. Like after we'd scored that first goal, Paul Hall, like about 10 minutes later, then this was still in the first half. Like he ran into the corner trying to kill time. It was like there's about an hour left, mate. Get on with it.
That's something you don't see anymore, is it? Players holding the ball in the corner.
Nah, and
you don't see it anymore, do you?
But it's because you don't. I don't think you get that. Like Paul Hall, like, and this is what I usually base. Like, I want my Pompey wings to be like Paul Hall, just pure pace. Like, and he just, I love Paul Hall. Again, he was one of the reasons I started spotting Pompey because around that time he was playing. Like, and like player like Benny Christensen and play like that, like just power, fast, just get your head down, just run at defenders. You just don't. Obviously, you don't get that. Oh, Samuel, yeah, you just don't get that much anymore, and like, yeah, no one runs into the corner anymore. I think I heard someone having this discussion about how football is, and it's quite sort of boring because of the amount of playing out from the back and that sort of stuff. You don't get that getting the ball, not just hoofing it, but getting the ball forward quickly, like, and yeah, so you don't really get that much anymore. So.
Right.
I think also with football, you just don't get drama anymore, though, do you? Either.
Not as much. No, I think you get it in the lower leagues. I don't think you get it anywhere near in the Premier
You don't
League.
get like your Keanes versus your Vieiras and stuff like that anymore, like you used to. You don't like. I still never forget the Arsenal Man United when in the tunnel where he's, I see you out on the pitch, and all. You wouldn't get that now. Your Lampard, Gerrards used to clash, and Gary Neville being a little prick as he was on the pitch, and Dennis Wise, the players that you just Robbie Savage. Oh my God, like the bloke knew how to wind up a crowd. I mean,
him and Dion Dublin. Dion Dublin just nutted him in the first couple of minutes, wasn't
it? Yeah.
But also, you don't get the rivalry. Obviously, like Jamil Matt and Michael Doyle, like absolute classics like that anymore, do you?
No, and do you remember Michael Doyle when he broke? God, he signed for us. Jesus Christ, what was his name? The one with the big, massive blonde hair. Oh shit! He missed a penalty in the playoffs when we played Oxford.
Oh, McGeehan.
Doyle broke his leg, didn't he, when he was at Luton?
Yeah. And also Doyle versus Burgess as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get that in the Premier League anymore, do you?
No.
It's just there's no personality. I'll just say it sounding like Roy Keane right now.
No, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of blood and guts. Do you mean that's like just seeing literally a proper? You don't see as many 50-50s anymore. And again, people might go, "Oh, that's football dinosaur chat," but
I love it.
It's exciting. It's what you want to see. You want to see some like.
Although that tackle from Bradley on Mbappe last night, now that's like proper football. You not see it? You would have seen that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that was proper. That was a proper like Scouse challenge, like proper getting stuck in. It is going from football, and it's a shame, but it's just the way it is. People falling around, dancing around on the floor and stuff. It just referees fall for it, and unfortunately, the game evolves, and that's the way it's gone with that part of the game. Right?
Yeah.
Shall we finish there?
Yeah, sweet.
We've managed to still go for an hour and 15 minutes, despite not actually having a football match to talk about. So I'm quite.
The problem was then we started just talking about football. Then we could have been on for another 3 hours.
Oh no!
Yeah. Well, that's like after the Haz Vs Daz, I'm annoyed, so I'm just gonna scratch my head to bits like old Pep Guardiola now.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that. I couldn't believe what I saw.
I'm quite worried about him, to be honest. I'm actually because that's not normal. That is very not.
He just signed a new contract.
I'm not gonna say it's weird behaviour, but it's quite worrying. I think, to be honest, because his head was scratched to bits and they're on his nose. It's just quite worrying behaviour. I think, to be honest, that's too much for me.
All right. Well, let's not get into that because I want to go and watch the Spurs game. So.
Actually, no. Let's keep debating, shall we?
Yeah. Whatever. Daz, right, as always, lovely having you.
Cheers, mate.
And Russ, as always, as well. Thank you very much.
Yep. Cheers,
Thank you to everyone listening. A pleasure having you listening live, and thank you for listening in the future when you listen back on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Hopefully, we'll be talking next week about a win away to Swansea if it isn't postponed for a third game in a row. If it is, I don't even know what we'll do. That'll be a whole month without Pompey. So, everyone, thank you very much. Take care and up the Blues.